Hello football friends, Cab1892 here again. In this video we're going to be taking a close look at 90 rated Samuel Eto'o. This is Eto'o's mid icon card and I was lucky enough to pack him in my mid to prime icon player pick, so I'm really looking forward to trying him out. Before we drive on, just a quick reminder to please take the 2 seconds to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a penny, but your support will let me continue to drive out more videos like these. Alright, let's get into the detail. Starting with his player bio, you'll see Samuel has a nice middle of the road height at 5'10", and that should hopefully mean he gets the best of both worlds, with potential in his frame for good strength and agility. His work rates look ideal, always great to have a high attacking work rate in the striker, and the medium defensive will be just fine. You can always counter that with stay forward if he's covering a bit too much ground in the opposite direction. Right footed and the 4-star combo is a decent base. I always feel the 5th star in either category is like an extra luxury, and 3 stars leaves you lacking, so it's a solid set here for Eto'o. His attribute screen looks very solid all round, lighting up all the key stat areas for a striker in dark green. Eto'o looks speedy, with a solid, strong mix of high stats in shooting and dribbling, and also a notably high proficiency in the physical category. Across the board, his attacking positioning, finishing, composure and high reactions should all tie together nicely for playing him up top. On to traits, and you'll see he has both key shooting traits, those being finesse shot and outside foot shot, along with the CPU speed dribbling trait. Again, really ideal that Eto'o has these, and they tick another key box which should mean strong outcomes for him in game. Alright, let's come away from the paper and get into the gameplay. First, let's take a look at Eto'o's pace. I was expecting him to be a speed demon, and he's indeed very quick once he actually reacts to your inputs, but we'll talk about this in more detail later. From the first initial burst of acceleration to his longer strides, he can run as fast as most and has a similar stride pattern to Mbappe, albeit marginally slower. With any sort of chem style on his pace, he feels very rapid and you won't have any issues in this department. Most notably, he keeps up his speed levels, even as his stamina depletes. Overall, I'd say 92 is a more accurate representation of where his pace lies. Eto'o's shooting is bizarre at best. Based on the player and his stats, I expected a clinical finisher with a high level of consistency. Instead, I was greeted with pretty much the exact opposite. He scores absolute belters, but misses real sitters and good chances. I would have expected him to score those 3/4 chances regularly with ease, but instead found myself very frustrated in a weekend league of missed opportunities. You can't rely on him to clutch, and he'll consistently let you down when you least expect it. On the flip side, he will score worldies and loves to pummel the crossbar from outrageous distances and angles. The biggest positive is his stellar movement. He pulls into spaces and runs into channels in a consistently pleasing fashion, and that high attacking work rate really holds true in game. When you switch to that 4-star weak foot, it may as well be a 5 as you'll hardly notice the difference. Both feet are as inconsistent as the other. Overall, I'd say a disappointing 85 is about right here. The crazy world of Eto'o continues, and now he's showing off his skills in passing. He has an incredible and beautiful consistency to his passing, and in particular, his true balls are exceptional against his stats, even if you opt against the recommended engine chem style. His high vision must have taken over this card, as he consistently puts his teammates into great scoring positions with all sorts of assists. Thankfully, when he sets up the chance, he's not the one you need to worry about finishing it. Overall, I'd say 87 is about fair, as he well exceeded expectations for me and can be very proficient in this area. Never have I felt so cheated as with the 93 reaction stats on this card, and I have to start there because it's the biggest issue I had with this card. I mean, maybe Eto'o is just faulty and I should ask EA to exchange him for a replacement, but he plays with what I can only describe as a permanent delay, and it affects everything you try to do with him. Consistently I felt frustrated as he takes his sweet ass time in doing anything you ask him to. It's the strangest feeling, as it was the last thing I expected from this card, and yet you pass the ball off to a teammate to check is it your gameplay overall, and they can move, transition and react just fine. At times I felt like Eto'o was carrying Akinfenwa on his shoulders. It's a pity because you can feel there's a card in there somewhere. Sometimes you'll execute a skill move like a burp spin or a step over at a certain angle, and he'll just take off, so maybe his beauty is just hidden deep, really deep. Don't even start me on his composure, I've yet to find it. 84 in dribbling. It's not what you came here for, but we may as well continue to find positives, and Eto'o does quite okay here. His medium work rate gets him around the pitch naturally, and he has a good habit of getting himself interceptions or putting his body between defenders who overhit a touch out from the back. He certainly does enough to make their life very uncomfortable at times. He'll rarely make a clean tackle, but he disrupts well, and that's the main ask of your front man, who performs much better than expected and can do his bit for the team here. Overall, I'd give him a rating of 65 in his defensive work, which shouldn't go underappreciated at all. Eto'o's physical is very good all round. He leaps well and is a solid outlet for a long goal kick or cross into the box, without being anything cracked. His stamina is also very impressive, and even when depleted, he moves at a good pace and you don't really feel the effect of his dropping energy. His strength and aggression are again good, true performers, and he can hold his own in many encounters, not necessarily against the big bully defenders, but against most he'll perform just fine. I'd say he overperformed here, and 84 is probably accurate. So, the final verdict. Honestly, my eyes lit up when the final card of my icon player pick turned out to be Eto'o, who was worth 2 million coins at the time. Now bear in mind, he followed Prime Van der Sar and Prime Perez, but still, for 2 million I expected a lot and dreamed of a crack striker who could carry me well into team of the season and beyond. Instead, I was left scratching my head game after game, when his delay and inconsistency left me reeling another poor result, which centred around a rake of missed opportunities. Perhaps I expected too much, but honestly, I would have the similar build Mbappe at striker every day of the week ahead of him. For the pros, Eto'o's work rates are fantastic, and his own attacking and defensive AI moves him around the pitch in a truly brilliant way. Leave him on balanced instructions, and he'll show up everywhere. 1 minute he'll be missing a shot at the end of your opponent's 6-yard box, and in a flash you'll find him harrying an opponent at his own corner flag. His passing is also fantastic and was the biggest surprise of this card in a positive sense, and his pace is impressive too. He moves both off the mark and into those longer sprints at a good speed. The cons list has to start with his inconsistent finishing, which was the biggest letdown and shock of this card. He just misses way too many chances, and the unexpected worldies don't make up for it over the course of 30 games. Most bizarrely, Eto'o moves and reacts with a constant feeling of being in slow motion, like a permanent delay, and it's these reactions that make him almost unusable at times in high-speed gameplay, as it affects everything he does, and most notably, it makes his dribbling feel clunky and inaccurate. I think Eto'o is best put in the striker role, and preferably he needs a partner up there with him, either someone to do the build up for him, or someone he can find with a first time through ball. You can use him on the wing. Out there he has a bit more breathing room and a chance to do his thing, but if he gets isolated, he won't tend to dribble his way out of tight areas or be able to cut back. Overall, I'd give Eto'o an 85 rating. It may seem harsh, and perhaps I just didn't get on with this card, but even in co-op, my partners found him similarly frustrating, so I don't believe it comes down to my style in this case. I just cannot get past the way he does everything at his own pace, and found he became a target for my opponent in way too many games through which to turn over possession. Watching replays of the target arrow point perfectly into the goal and the ball roll wide were also way too frequent, and often a plenty per game. If I'd bought Eto'o off the market, I would have sold him off as soon as I could, because for a current price of 1.7 million, I think there's so many better ways to spend your coins. For value, I just can't see it, and I know they don't come with the same links, but when you consider Mbappe or CR7 trades for less than half the price, a value rating of 60 probably seems harsh, but don't say you weren't forewarned. So that concludes this review. Before you go, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews and content, as I can't do this without your support, which has been phenomenal to date. Thanks for watching, football friends, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next video.